Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. Hey, in this video I'm going to go through the step-by-step process of making a cutting board, charcuterie board, handle, cutting board thing, whatever. I'm not sure what to call it. I think it's going to be used as a cutting board. I think it's going to be used as a charcuterie board. So we'll use the one side to be a charcuterie and the other side to use for a cutting board, I guess. I guess we'll leave it up to the people that I make this for. We're going to start out by gluing up a board, which, you know, is standard procedure. And we're going to make the shape of this board with our bandsaw. And then we're going to finish it up in the Longmill. So stay with us. Hey, before we go any farther, I would like to say a big thank you to this week's sponsor, CNC Labs, the makers of the Longmill benchtop CNC. Hey, if you would like to bring automated carving into your shop, giving you the ability to make some really cool stuff without having an engineering degree, the Longmill just might be what you've been waiting for. By focusing on simplicity and ease of use, the power to turn your maker dreams into reality can now be in your hands. Just go to cnc.com and order your Longmill today. You will be happy you did. Now let's get back to this week's project. So like I said, we start out with a glued up cutting board. I basically just took a bunch of hardwoods, glued them together, and got them ready for cutting on the bandsaw. I made somewhat of a shape to what I really wanted, and then I kind of redrew it in a darker line so that I could see it a little bit better. Cut that handle end out, and you know, it's kind of a funky shape. You know me, I don't want to be typical in any way, so I try to make things as unique as possible. And I think this is about as unique as you can get. I mean, it looks a little like some of the other cutting boards or charcuterie boards or shark cutting boards, whatever they might want to call them, but I think it'd be okay. I made a charcuterie board using my bandsaw, my Laguna 1412. I love this bandsaw. It's just, I mainly use it for resawing, but I don't know, came out pretty good. Cutting these curves was a little challenging, but you know, I got some final sanding to do, but you know, I think it came out pretty good. I don't know if you can see it all or if I'm too close, but it's about a 2-foot long charcuterie board. When I make a charcuterie board, typically I would just make it on my Longmill and not deal with all this, because I can surface the board there, I can cut its shape out, I can engrave it, I can personalize it, I can put a juice groove in it, you know, just so many things with one machine that you can do. Now we sand and we sand and we sand. Did I ever tell you I did not like to sand? Don't. That's why I use the Longmill. But anyway, now we finish. I'll show you a finished product when I'm done. So the first thing we got to accomplish here is drilling a hole. This is a little bit harder than I thought it would be. I'm not sure if this drill bit was dull or if my drill battery was just not good, but it took me a bit to get through there. I had to flip it over and come through the back side. Now here I bought a new tool, and I did a video on this, and I'll leave a link above here for that. I did a review on it. I really like this sander. My initial intent was just to really gouge out the outside edge of this thing and give it somewhat of a rough look, but I opted, as you'll see in the end, not to go that route. But this did help me get all the hard edges softened up, and this thing is like a chainsaw, but it really took a lot of wood off this board for sure. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to do a carve in this particular board, and I wanted to show you how I came about putting this all together. Well, first of all, let's open Carveco. I don't generally do tutorials for Carveco. There's an occasion when I do, but most oftentimes I'll just put a link in the description so you can go download that file and you can see all the speeds and feeds I've chosen, so on and so on. But this time I felt I needed to show you how I created this. So I'm going to go to Carveco. I have the maker version, and we're going to do kitchen sign. Now, I specifically created this a while ago, excuse me, to make a sign for our kitchen for my wife. And she liked the saying, everything was good. We created this sign, and I cut it out. I didn't do a video on it. It was several tool paths. It was there were tool changes. There was 1, 2, 3 tool changes, and I'm going to do a video in this probably within a week, show you how I did these tool paths, because it's quite interesting what I've been able to accomplish with this, and I wanted to share it with everyone. I did put a post on the Longmill site and also on Facebook page for this, but one of our fellow users found something, and I want to share that with everyone, so we're going to do a video on that. So what I did is I just saved this as I took these outside tool paths out, and we're going to open that up now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. We're going to go to the file that I saved for this particular one, and you notice that it does not have the exterior on there, and it only has 1 bit toolpath right here. It's 3 different text blocks, but 1 toolpath. We're going to use a 90-degree V-bit. So I'm going to show you how I created that toolpath. So we're going to go over here to toolpaths. We're going to go down here and click on V-bit carving. Now, I'm going to fill these in with epoxy. So all we really need to do is I could probably just create this with a 1/8 inch bit, but I want these sharp corners, and the V-bit gives us the crisp corners. So that's why I'm using a V-bit. We're going to go select our V-bit. We're going to use a 1/2 inch diameter, 90-degree, and I'm going to select that. And what I want to do here is I want to see what my maximum width and depth are going to be. So we're going to refresh that. Now you notice that our maximum depth with a 90-degree V-bit is going to be 1/4 inch. And that is exactly where I want to be. I could use a 60-degree bit, but it would go way deeper. It'd be well over 4/10 inch. So I really didn't want to go that much. So even though our board is 1.25 inches thick, I really did not want to go that much. So we're not going to need a roughing tool in this case. We're not going to need to limit our depth. We're going to just go with what this gives us here. So, and that's what this does, our cutting depth. You can limit how deep your V carve goes if you need to. And that's a very cool feature of Carveco. So, no roughing tool. We are going to leave my safe Z at 1 inch. And let's see here. Material thickness is already 1.25 inches. And we're going to call this kitchen board. Okay. And we're going to calculate this tool path. Now we're going to close this out, and I'm going to come over here to tool paths, and I'm going to do a simulation. Now you notice it looks pretty good. So we're good with that, and we're going to move on to saving the tool path. So first thing we're going to do is get rid of the simulation, and then click so we can see the tool paths again. We're going to come down here to save. We've got a 90-degree V-bit. We're going to call it kitchen board, and we're going to save. I've already done this, so that's how I did it. Now we can save this file, close Carveco, and we'll go to the Longmill, load the file in GSender, and get this thing carving. So I loaded up the board in our Longmill, got everything ready to go. I zeroed the X and Y off the center of the board, and I did a touch probe Z only, which I did not show you here, but in GSender you're able to do just a Z or X and Y or X, Y, and Z. So I did just the Z, and then I let this thing go ahead and do its carving thing. Of course, I stalked it, as we all do, but once that was done, I pulled it out and mixed up some epoxy, and I'll leave a link to the epoxy I used in the description below. Once you pour it in there, you hit it with a blowtorch, gets the air bubbles out, and you wait a couple days, then you bring it to the drum sander. Now, I'm telling you right now, if you make cutting boards, a drum sander will save you a ton of time. Plus, if you're old like me and your hands hurt when you hand sand, this thing really helps out a lot. So I can't emphasize enough just how important that particular tool is in my shop. Now I also have a palm sander, a round one and a square one that I use, and there is a ton of sanding on this board because I hacked it up with that belt sander I showed you earlier. But we got her sanded out and we got everything smooth. I wetted the surface, resanded again. I got it up to about 220, so should be good to go here. Hope they like it. Yeah, so we're at the end of another project video. And, you know, I guess it really doesn't matter how we begin a project or what tool we use or any of that. I guess it's what really matters is that when we build something for someone special, someone close to us, we take a lot of pride in doing something like that and how they may feel about it, you know, and we feed off of their reaction to it. So I really hope they get a ton of use out of it. This thing came out gorgeous, and when you put a finish on hardwood, and I use Walrus wood wax, I do not use mineral oil anymore, and I think this thing came out so good. I mean, come on. How can you not love something like that that's been personalized And it's kind of odd shaped, you know, got a handle on it. And this side can be the charcuterie part of it. This side can be the cutting board part of it. Either or, it doesn't matter. I hope they use it. I hope they don't just display it in their home. But, you know, whatever they want to do is okay with me. So, at any rate, I guess this video comes to a close by saying thank you to all those of you out there who are watching to the end and that support this channel. I really appreciate it. So, if you liked what you saw today and you haven't subscribed to this channel, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when I post again. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you, everyone. Be safe out there. And cut.